and just bought a Cadillac. I didn't do any such thing. All right, what do we got there? Da, Day 13 of this edit, and we are 120 pages in. So if we get 10 pages today, we'll be on like 10 pages a day, which is a pretty solid goal right there. What's chapter 14? Do we have a title for it? And we need to come up with a title for this guy. And then, all right, I don't want to reveal too much here. Let me hit my intro. There we go. What do we got? Oh shit, Neggy. Thank God you're here. Thought I was gonna have to do this all on my lonesome, and it's an important chapter. So thank you for making it early this morning. I know not everybody is cut out for the crack of dong editing stream every morning, but yeah, anybody that's here is just fucking lonely on my own there. All right, so let's see what this chat saith. Yeah, we're editing. We edit every day until this book is fucking done. I'm not stopping. And then during the day, I'm gonna be pitching editors and so forth. I don't sleep anymore. Well, that's not good, man. Sleep is sleep is like a third of your life right there, and it's very important. So whatever's keeping you up. Generally, when I can't sleep super well, there's a woman to blame. To tell you the truth, I found that out. You remember when I was going through? I went through like a solid month where I was taking that NAD, and I just couldn't sleep right forever, and I was coming apart at the seams. But behind it all, there was a woman. And I got to tell you, when I'm not dating anybody seriously, I sleep like a fucking baby. I mean, I have to take melatonin because like my diurnal cycle is all fucked up. But I got no women like pressing on my mind, not worrying about them, like not second guessing things that I said or they said or whatever, not feeling like the pressure of them trying to make me do things that I don't want to do and vice versa and so forth. He says, yeah, but I could watch anime. Well, yeah, I guess. God, that shit is mind poison. All right, hold on just a second. I got to turn off something. Yeah. So I just realized that I can buy components for the new van PC with Bitcoins. So I'm going to think a little bit about what kind of UPS I'm going to have in there, like what kind of battery backup we'll have running, like an inverter or something like that. And yeah, I'd really like to look a little into if there's any tricks that people are doing to, because ultimately, like I need a tower PC to do the work that I do every single day. And just, it's not really going to cut it with a laptop. And laptops are just bound to get fucked up or stolen or whatever there. And I'm gonna set up something with like 128 gigs of RAM, and we'll probably put something like 24 or 48 terabytes of storage in that thing. And then I have to have some kind of backup going for the entire set and everything. So yeah, hopefully Elon comes through with the Starlink because I'm gonna need that bandwidth. Posted on 4chan DIY. They'll slap tons of info in there. Yeah, man, like I really ought to weaponize their autism from time to time. I haven't spent as much time on 4chan in the past couple of years as I normally used to. And it is what it is. It ain't what it ain't. But not a lot going on. This morning I was listening to, I can't remember if it was you, Raborn, that posted this link up, but I was listening to the Rainbow Goblins for a hot second, like while I was walking around. And it's a little too jappy and jazzy for me. Rack mount, so if they want to steal something, they got to be ready to work for it. Also keep stuff from flying around. I got to tell you, I have not had good luck with rack mounted PC cases. And I probably will need like an equipment rack in there because I've got a bunch of pieces of rack mounted equipment. But server and some track mounts and so forth. Here's your fucking problem. Servers are really noisy, right? They really are incredibly noisy. And this is already a venture where we're going to have to compete with like generators and road noise and like a lack of insulation. If you listen to how I sound right now, I'm very, very fortunate, right? That so little noise comes through in the space that I'm in. You know, I'm high up in this building. The neighbors aren't assholes for the most part. And I have a relatively quiet studio. And ooh, are we going to miss this shit when it's gone? Like our editing is just going to have so much more background noise and birds chirping and homeless guys leering and fucking nuclear strikes detected. So it's something to consider. So we're getting to a very pivotal part of the story. And I don't mind telling you, this is a pivotal part for the protagonist and some of our favorite characters through here. Although I don't think anybody really has they're not the most likable bunch right there, which is a space that I often get into. I often get into trouble when I'm writing stories because I don't make my characters very likable, and it's probably because I myself am not very likable. Most rack mount audio equipment, yeah, it's all 19-inch racks. Like my whole life is fucking racks, Raborn, whether it's audio or what have you there. So yeah, I'm just gonna see what equipment vendors will accept Bitcoin and start purchasing some of the equipment while Bitcoin is high because it's about to fucking crash. I say, but I really don't have any fucking idea. Mainly, I just don't want well, let's not say that on stream. But let's get into it here. So what's happening at this point in the story? I'm just going to catch everybody up in case you haven't been watching. So XEROS is the story about Trader. He's a young convict who is being drilled to fly in like one final mission. He's being drilled as a pirate. This is set in the far future, probably like 500 or 600 years in the future. A Chinese-derived solar empire is trying to put together one final mission to defeat an adversary that we only have learned a little bit about this point, called the Collaborators. So what's happening in the story thus far is that Trader, who he had kept pretty close to the vest, like why he had been imprisoned, he finally revealed that he had been seduced by a succubus program called a Lydia. And basically, the way that I postulate this is that in the far future, there are computer programs that just troll the nets for lonely men and slowly win them over to the side of the Collaborators just by like paying attention to them and playing games with them and chatting with them like late into the night and so forth. Which to me is like an incredible fucking psyop, taking like the weaponized autists and turning them against the Republic just by paying attention to them and listening to them. I'm sure other people have done this in their books, but I really like that core concept there. So Trader, after Pirate, who was a much older person, tells his story of how he got on the spacecraft. He does it contingent on Trader telling his story, quid pro quo. But Trader has figured out that Pirate has revealed his story to the other inmates, and he's furious about it. So we just had a chapter where Trader was like very close to choking out Murderous, a female character that Pirate had apparently blabbed to. And on a training flight, so there was a training flight that they were on right there, and Trader was so upset that he crashed his ship into one of the fucking buoys. There's Logic here, super drunk as promised. I told everybody. Logic, did you manage to snap up any of that China trim at your Chinese New Year's party? I hope so, or at least you got some numbers out of it. Yeah, there are not enough Chinese women in my life right now, or Polynesian women, or any kind of women. But that's a blessing and a curse, to tell you the truth. So let's get down to it. It's chapter 14. Taking off your boots and smoking marijuana. Well, I'm sure that you'll get lots of points today with all these performance-enhancing drugs and whatnot there. Yes, hello. I am from the IRS. I am told you have some bitcoins. God, I gotta get out of this fucking country. Got 2 different numbers. Oh, you got 2 numbers from girl? That's fucking fantastic, man. Well done. Well done. But definitely sober up before you text him. Take it from me. So, chapter 14. At the end of every training flight, the drills would unseal us. The drills would unseal our ships and wrench us out of the cockpits, disoriented and sticky with ship fluids. And we go pretty ham on the space womb terminology a little bit later. There used to be we got Yassi Paul right here. He says, it's not a heater. It's called pilot heat. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Something wrong with the heater. Sticky with ship fluids. The drills would hose us off, then blast us dry with compressed air. Then the drills would they would hose us off and blast us dry with compressed air. You don't need it then. They would hose us off, then blast us dry with compressed air. Today, there was something wrong with the heater. The water was ice cold. There. Peeling every boot is like peeling off a piece of my soul. My feet are legit my life. Wow. So Stratum wants to know what the fluid smells like right there. I'd say it smells like zinc. But we have enough evocative language there that it doesn't add anything to, well, we're at the risk of overloading with description at this point there. Because we're already thinking about how they're disoriented and they're sticky and so forth. Hold on. No, yeah. Today there was something wrong with the heater. The water was ice cold. Each member of the squadron yelped. Each member of the squadron yelped as the torrent hit them, and when it was my turn, I couldn't help but do the same. The air hose sputtered a feeble raspberry as they tried to dry us. There was a break in the line somewhere. Losing the war. Oh, I'm thinking whether or not the fluid nature impacts the people helping to. I wouldn't say that it's like it'd probably be like a sweet kind of motor oily smell in my mind. In my mind, the smell is like red. You know what I mean? It's like a kind of distant cherry smell. But I don't want to get into it here because like I only get so much bandwidth in people's minds, and I want people focused on him shivering and the feeble raspberry more than I want them engaging like their olfactory right now. I was standing on the deck, wet and shivering. Manhood shrunken. All right, this is awkward phrasing. Losing the war. I stood, shivering on the deck after the terrible run. My spirit... I like the way that tracks right there. I stood shivering on the deck after the terrible run, spirit bruised and manhood shrunken. And the unmistakable sound of XEROS stride. His boots clanged against the deck grating. He stopped in front of me and eyed me up and down. The smell, in my view, is helping us understand what the opening process... Yeah. Needs comma behind me. I could hear. Indeed we do. Yeah, let's say that they hiss open and give logic that old point. Yeah, it's not a bad smell, and we can know that it's not like a bad smell Because if we think about it, this is like a fluid that has to keep these pilots in homeostasis, like this compression fluid there. So it has to be both supplying nutrients and like it just it can't be something that is like intrinsically foul to people there. Just because like people are expected to be in this fluid for like a year or longer in some cases there. And we'll get into what happens when that goes wrong later in the story. So it tastes like Doritos. Yeah, like Cool Ranch compression fluid. I fucking love the sound of that. I stood shivering on the deck after my terrible run. I stood shivering on the deck after the terrible run, spirit bruised and manhood shrunken. I could hear the bay doors hiss open behind me, the unmistakable sound of XEROS' stride. His boots clanged against the deck grating. His boots clanged across the deck grating. Against the deck grating. He stopped in front of me and eyed me up and down. Pathetic. I wasn't sure if he meant my genitals or my flight time. Both were in a sorry state today. Come with me, XEROS ordered. He turned briskly and marched back towards the door. Before I could comply, a strangled sound escaped Pirate's mouth. The whole squadron flinched. XEROS came to an abrupt halt, searing us with his gaze. Pirate's nose twitched. He tried to pretend he'd been stifling a sneeze. XEROS lifted his chin. An instant later, one of the drills belted Pirate in the stomach. He dropped hard onto the grating. XEROS was already headed to the door. I moved to follow. Please, what does it take for me to get in on this Cool Ranch compression fluid? Oh, I love that. I fucking hate Cool Ranch Doritos. I hate every kind of Doritos. I think they're awful. But every girl I've ever dated has fucking loved them. They've always been in my life. And I like Flaming Hot Cheetos. And I have one friend in my board game club that can't fucking stand them. So every single game night, I would buy a bag of them and just be like, yo, I got you your favorite, buddy. And he just like would give us this death look. He didn't even like seeing them. It was worth the like $2.39 every time just for that joke. I miss those motherfuckers. So what he's doing is he's like, so yeah, like I think that's a good point that it's not clear whose chin he's lifting because he's not anywhere near where Pirate is. No, so here we have like XEROS is already spinning away towards the door, but XEROS would stand to watch. Yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm gonna give Stratum that point. I think it's a good point right there. We always want to clear up pronoun ambiguity whenever we can because pronouns are horseshit and they just wreck society. Such fucking nonsense. I can honestly, it's at the point now where I can tell whether or not I want to talk to somebody by whether or not they're like shoehorning pronouns into the conversation. Like if it's like, for people where there's like some ambiguity, super duper, but for people where I'm like, yeah, you probably have a vagina or a penis or whatever, it's not hard for me to tell what you want to be. And they have like their pronouns on there. Before I get into the conversation, I'm like, okay, don't say anything that'll upset this fragile soul, and just try to be as polite as you can, and just save your real opinions for somebody who's like a little less delicate. Oh shit, hell yeah! Lit up just got off of work, and he's about to put in. Oh, I love any pronoun. I'm just fine with that. Like what it. I love like pronouns, whatever the fuck you feel like. Just don't be an idiot. Um, I wish there was a pronoun that was just like basically stood for don't talk to me if you're a fucking retard. But that's kind of the opposite of what they're trying to do, I guess. All right, anyhow. God, I'm drawing like I can see how many amps we're pulling over here, but this room is pulling like 5 amps at all times. By the way, just all the equipments and lights and everything going on there. I don't know what my electrical bill is like. I haven't paid it in like 6 years. I moved towards the door, and his expression froze me mid-step. Get dressed, idiot, XEROS ordered. We're going to make $210 of Ethereum on $10 worth of power this month. I can't invest, it makes me so unhappy to have like money in the bank, which is great because the IRS is happy to take all of it from me. So it's a wonderful relationship. XEROS motioned his head towards a drill. Without hesitation, the drill drove his fist. Yeah. We don't need that dropping him to the grading. Okay, so lit up wants bowels or viscera. So the sentence, without hesitation, the drill dove his fist into Pirate's bowels. It has a very different connotation than into somebody's gut. Like gut is like the front of your stomach, whereas guts is going to be there. If he drove his fist into Pirate's viscera, it would be like a Mortal Kombat fatality, right? If he drove his fist into Pirate's bowels, it would be a San Francisco bathhouse. So this is why we're using guts. Gut and not guts or gut, viscera or whatever there. Gut sounds like everybody has a gut. Yeah, like you can use gut interchangeably. And he's not fat. Let's try without hesitation, the drill drove his fist into Pirate's stomach, into Pirate's solar plexus, into Pirate's bread basket. Gut, just it fits. Like when somebody's getting punched in the stomach, the word I almost always use is gut. And pirates aren't usually fat. Yeah, indeed, nobody here is fat because they're all starving to death. It's boot camp, baby. I started towards the door. Matsuro's expression froze me mid-step. Get dressed, idiot, Suros ordered. Still wet, I put on my coveralls and followed him. As I shut the hatch, I could hear Pirate had begun to sob. Pirate was softly sobbing behind me. There we go. Cool. Imbecile instead of idiot. Get dressed, imbecile. So, imbecile is like a little pretentious. And one of the things that I want to notice about Suro's speech here is he's less performative than he normally would be. And you'll see why when we get into the next chapter, or the next section of this chapter here. Whereas earlier in the story, you know how drill sergeants like start off like, "All right, clown," you know, like all this dumb shit at the beginning there, and at some point that drill sergeant will take you aside and be like, "Listen, if you keep fucking up the order, I'm gonna have you beaten," right? And then they're not performative, right? Then they're very curt and they're very matter of fact, and they're trying to express if you keep fucking up, you're gonna get recycled, or you're gonna get fucking spat out into some different MOS. I don't know if I'm sure that they recycle people in the fucking military, in the army, but this is the Navy. I'd expected Suros was leading me to an interrogation room. All right, so we got Bewitched Frog hollering at us from twitch.tv there, who says, "Do we have published works?" Yes, I have 2 traditionally published, 3 through KDP, and you can read them all for free at zachzyz.com. It's at the very top of the stream right here. In addition to that, I have about 5 unpublished books, one of which at least is unsellable, one which needs a big-ass rewrite, 2 that I'm actively trying to sell, and then one that is just so offensive that I have to wait a little bit to try and sell the other ones before I try and sell this one. Lit Up says, "The drill sergeants do it all for the lulz." Some of them are definitely like in it for the lulz. And I know when they're like talking between each other, they're in it for the lulz. But like if you've ever had a heart to heart with one of these motherfuckers, there are some of them that are true believers that you'll run into. It may just be in the Air Force, we like deal with like a lot of TIs or whatever the fuck they want to call themselves. You really get exposed to enough of these people to get like a sort of sampling of what's going on. And I know in other branches that's not always necessarily the case, but yeah. Yeah, so hopefully I know kind of what I'm fucking talking about here, Bewitched Frog. But yeah, in general, take everything I say with a grain of salt because I'm not tremendously successful, but I definitely put the work in. We've been editing this for 13 days straight. For the first novel that we edited this year, it was like 100 days straight. And the second novel that we edited last year was like 100 days straight also. You can see on this YouTube channel like the full playlist of the edits, and it's just every morning. and you can see me get increasingly haggard and like darty-eyed as it goes along. I'm just pouring everything into these things because this is my favorite part of the day. Like what's happening right here. Nothing else today. Whether I could score drugs or hook up with some strange or all kinds of stuff. Nothing that I do today will be as important to me as this is, and I won't have as much fun for the rest of the day. So I got to savor this time while I can here. So when we start a new section, and this is not something that you generally need to do with manuscripts. It's just how I like to have it. I like to start each chapter break with without an indent, and this is how I do my chapter breaks. Just 3 stars. I used to do it a different way, but anyway, Logic says the best advice I ever got was in this shitty ass thing at Benning. But Drill Sergeant Simpson goes, "Don't marry the first girl that comes up in your barracks, bros." Oh, Jesus Christ! You shouldn't. It should just be against the law to get married while you're in the fucking military. The success rate of people who just got married because they wanted to live off of the fucking base, and then they have a child into the mix, and then they get addicted to that like cohabitant pay and so forth. Oh, all those people were so fucking miserable. They just hated their lives, and they were constantly getting split up, and it was terrible. And in general, like whoever you are out there, you can do better than a military person, right? All of us that were in the military were there because we were fucking second rate, because we had fucked up the other parts of our lives, and this was the best idea that we could come up with. And frankly, like everybody deserves better. You deserve like a complete human being that isn't just like an amalgamation of different shit that retards have shouted at them over their lives. And some of my very, very favorite people of all time are people that I met in the military. And they were just as fucked up as I was. And that was how I could relate to them. And I'm still friends with them to this day. But yeah, I would like any woman that's like, I don't date cops or military people on their Tinder profile. I'm like, this is a smart woman. I should try and get with this. And then she's usually too smart to date me. But I'd expected XEROS to lead me to an interrogation room. Why are we going into past imperfect? I expected XEROS to lead me back to the. I almost put it as interrogation chamber, but it sounds like a little bit too medieval there, so we're going to take that out. Instead, he brought me to his office. Agony Booth, shout out to Star Trek. Wild. Mm-hmm. What are we trying to call it? I kind of want to get some vent Phantom of the Opera action happening here, where XEROS has like a. Let's get the. What's their word for piano? All right, let's. Gangquin. Let's see what the connotation is here. Pianoforte. Where is Logic chatting at? He's on the YouTube chat. I don't see him in the Twitch. Yeah, like the YouTube is where most people watch, I think. You can always see their chats on the screen, but yeah, like they're on the YouTube chat, and but I think it's in the channel topic. Sanjiao Genquin. What's this? Opinion translation of here. So romanization. Oh, I would love it if I could have him have a grand piano, and there's just no fucking way. Logic states that I have a huge fat cock. We ought to put it to work, man. You know, fucking, it's one. Don't just jaw about it. Do something with your God-given abilities, right there. Let's go this way. Monhechenkri. Ganquin. Heching Ganquin. Yeah, none of this is appealing to my ear. Gia Ganquin. I like that. Now I'm Angie, so my edits mean more. They really do. Yeah. Yeah, she has more stature than you, lit up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really struggling to get this fucking. I'm sorry if this is boring. Didn't you have rocket alarms to let you know A clavichord. Let's take a look at a clavichord. Was that the one where it like picked the was a practice instrument being not loud enough for larger performances? Um, ooh, I really like this actually. The fact that it's aid to composition. God, that would be so old. Yeah. Okay. So translate to Mandarin Chinese. Strings are hit by pieces of metal when the keys are pressed. I like that. Let's see what the Chinese translation of it would be. That's a great idea. Suguozian.
锁骨弦，锁骨弦，
Yeah, and it's we can't say Suguozian there. Um, yeah, it's plucked. Yeah, it's a very different sound. Let's make it a fucking clavichord right there. Set against the wall was an antique clavichord. Yeah, I love the clavichord suggestion. Mm-hmm. But there was a particular luster. Let's take a look at parts of a clavichord. Do we have a diagram? Schematic design, keys A, B, a fretted clavichord. Same string pair is used for several notes clearly visible in the full-size image. Oh, that's wild. Oh, I like how this is, where it's just a little. Yeah. I like where the case is pulled up, and it's almost the kind of thing that you could have on a very small items about the size of a 44 key synth, and it fits too in a space where you just wouldn't be able to. It's like a shit piano, but we're like at a place in the future where anything that hasn't been like fabricated by a machine is like impossibly expensive, right? Where nobody could ever afford it. But the open lid had the particular luster of real wood. All right, so let's get back to this here. It needs a comma. At first, I assumed. Yeah, let's get to it. I'm just going to take it on faith that we need it. Mm-hmm. I expected XEROS to lead me back to the interrogation room. Instead, he brought me to his office. There were no pictures, no medals, no commendations. Set against the wall was a clavichord. Was a clavichord. At first, I assumed it must be a replica. An antique would be impossibly expensive. But the open lid had the particular luster of real wood. There was a slight concavity to the keys that spoke of decades of use. It was real. XEROS was the phantom of the vents. Okay, cool. He made a sound in his throat. Oh, god damn it. I fucked it up there. Medallions instead of medals, right there. Every time I see medallions, I just think about beef medallions. I don't think about fucking actual medallions. He made a sound in his throat, and I snapped my eyes forward. Fearing retribution. Uh, Anticipating retribution. Okay, so here I have to go back and put this in, but this is like an important one here. I really like. I love the suggestion of the clavichord. Hold on, Stratum gets them up. I just love that suggestion. So I'm giving Stratum another point there because it's perfect for this situation. XEROS was the source of the distant music I'd heard. The distant music, the phantom of the vents. Okay, so here we just have to go back and make it so that. No, he's not. He's not anticipating a reckoning, right? Like reckoning has a note of finality to it, right? Like at the end of his reckoning, he should be dead. You know what I mean? Um, but I like anticipating retribution here because I want to keep some tension in there. Okay, cool. Reminded of the Battlestar Galactica TV reboot when everyone was hearing a song through the vents vibrating in the ship, and when we finally heard it was all along the watchtower in the year 3000 or something. Big letdown. I mean, that's kind of like a limitation. Like we, as much as we would like to talk about future music, the audience will have no association with it or so forth. And music isn't something that you can really describe. It's like, and it's like like talking about the difference between talking about fucking and experiencing it. It's just you can't get the same. Um, you can't get the same impact. In the year 2100, in the year 2101, war was beginning. He stood behind his desk, where everything was rigidly organized. Each object looked like it had been aligned with a ruler. Maybe they had. Rate the competence of your squad mates. Suro fired the question at me like a shot, looming over his desk. I was at attention. He hadn't given me leave to relax. Low, sir, I replied. I didn't care about shielding them anymore. Their flying ability? Zeros pressed. Lower, sir. Why do we always capitalize, sir? He hadn't given me leave to compose myself? No, definitely not. Like, so he hadn't put me at ease is what would be like a more, let's think about, he hadn't given me the at ease. It just doesn't resonate as much as he hadn't given me leave to relax. I like that a little bit better. And you would never like, so somebody might order you to compose yourself, but it's not the same as being put at ease. Their flying ability? Zeros press. Lower, sir. Sit down. I took the chair. It felt like a trap, but I had no choice. My body was damp and uncomfortable. I was going to leave a spot on the chair, and Zeros might beat me for it. But he'd certainly beat me if I hesitated. I couldn't win. You're worthless, but you aren't stupid, traitor. You can see how things are going. He gestured around the walls, meaning the prison that was falling apart all around us. His orderly office was like the eye of a hurricane. Say it, he demanded. I was confused. I hoped I didn't have a concussion. Say what, sir? I asked. Say it! We're losing the war. Sir, I said. Zeros was, after all, the one who had unwittingly revealed this to me. For a moment his lip curled. Maybe he had meant for me to say something else, but his expression leveled. For a moment, Zeros' lip curled, and then period. Maybe he had meant for me to say something else, but his expression leveled. That's right. We are losing the war. Losing to an enemy that can't attack us. An enemy fundamentally incapable of doing us harm. And it's almost over. We're nearly finished. All because of people like you. Deserters, retreaters, backstabbing, turncoat traitors. He spat the word like a curse. Had Zeros brought me here to kill me? The hair on the back of my neck rose. My eyes darted across his desk. I searched for something I could use to defend myself, but nothing would suit. I had no hope beating Zeros in a fight. No amount of adrenaline could overcome our differences in size and strength. I imagined him surging across the desk, closing those thick fingers around my neck and... Let's do this windpipe. Closing those thick fingers around my windpipe and squeezing until my face turned purple. Soon, it wasn't just my neck hair rising. I was glad to be sitting down. Thankfully, Zeros didn't pick up on my inner turmoil. He probably thought I was just afraid. The others in your squadron are spineless. Not you. You were a cunt hair away from dying when we grilled you. Did you know that? 48 hours without water. Not a peep. Not a peep of protest. Medical says your kidneys were failing. Did you break into that storeroom, traitor? Zeros. Oh yeah, thanks for the subscription there. I'll just say that your name is BS. So I don't want to dox you. Suros rose to his feet and circled around the small office. It felt like his mouth was just centimeters from my ear. If I flinched, I would get belted for it. I calculated I needed to delay just a second, as if I was processing new information about the storeroom pilfering and trying to figure out who'd done it. Found this link in the master. Oh yeah, shout out to that. It's a Negi's math server. I want to thank him for being there. Yeah, I did it every day. We're going to get into now. I'm not a math person, so I don't want to make outsized claims or whatever. But later in the story, we get into like some Rayleigh Taylor instability, and we get into like some very the story has a lot to do with stars, and so we talk a lot about spicules and or maybe they're spicules and so forth, and the different layers of the sun, and sort of like a gravitational shearing effect at the tachocline and like a few different. So we get into some stuff that should be interesting for math people, like about 75% of the way through the book. So around page 150, it should be popping off. And this is a space story, so everything is like all vectors and acceleration, and it gets a little deeper into it, but it's only like the very end of the book that we get into it. The first part of it is all this human drama about somebody being brainwashed and going through a military prison. Uh, yeah. Oh, cool. Thanks. Yeah, we'll be done with this hopefully in another 7 or 8 days. And I try to edit like one or two of these books a year. But I pretended I was trying to figure out who had done it. No, sir, I concluded. We could shoot for 72 this time, Suros threatened. We could shoot for 72 hours without water this time, Suros threatened. He completed his circuit and made his way behind his desk. Aye, aye, sir, I replied, meeting his stare. I was daring him to do it, knowing he couldn't. 72 hours of interrogation would kill me, and I knew they needed me now. I think it just bothered Suros that I hadn't cracked. I think he knew he probably would have buckled. He hated that. All right. Yeah, it's one of those things where, so I was actually kicked out of high school and just didn't do spectacularly well. I think I got to like algebra 2 or something like that. And so math has always seemed like a kind of distant magic to me where I can feel like a tugging of like, oh, this is, but I just, that potential is gone now. And I'll probably never get to the point where like I understand calculus or anything like that. Um, and it's precluded me from like a lot of things in my life that like I might have been more interested in. Like I'll never do serious programming or anything like that. And it just, I went like a different route with this whole thing and went pretty deep into writing. And I definitely, if I had it to do all over again, I would get much deeper into math and music and so forth at a younger age, instead of just doing like a lot of LSD and hitchhiking across the country. But it was pretty fun to do those things. I gotta tell you. All right, let me get deeper into this guy right here. I met his stare, daring him to do it. He couldn't. He couldn't afford to. He couldn't afford to kill me now. Yeah. I met his stare, daring him to do it. 72 hours of interrogation would end me. And he couldn't afford to lose me now. He hated knowing I was tougher than him. Aye, aye, sir, I replied. I met his stare. I met XEROS' stare, daring him to do it. 72 hours of interrogation would end me. I was certain he couldn't afford to lose me. It just bothered him. Yeah, I think this is too much, so I'm going to cut that out. It just bothered him that I hadn't cracked like the others. XEROS sat down and faced me, shrugging off the failed attempt. He had more cards to play. Damn. Listen to that. It's like a fucking gong. It's time, traitor. You fly at 0600. I didn't need to pretend to be stunned. How could the mission be tomorrow? Whatever the hell they wanted us to do, I knew the others weren't ready. He couldn't take that much puns. Where's the pun? Oh, that much puns. Yeah, like it said that for a hot second. Hot second is one of those things I say fucking forever. It's so New Orleans. I was stunned. How could the mission be tomorrow? Whatever the hell they wanted us to do, I knew the others weren't ready. Attic was a mess. Murderous had barely improved. Corrupt and Liar were middling. And who knew what Pirate would do? If this was a tournament, I would expect all of them to get eliminated before semis. I wouldn't trust any of them in a battle. I wanted to scream all of this at XEROS, but I choked it down. He didn't really care what I thought. Mm-hmm. Oh, Lit Up is making a grilled cheese. Shout outs to Angie, Pirate. Shout outs to Angie and Lit Up, and like an early morning grilled cheese sandwich. It's got to be like 2 a.m. over there. No, actually, I can do this fucking math. It's like 5 a.m. Out there where Lit Up and Angie is at. So shout outs to them. Hope you too have like a wonderful Valentine's Day and Chinese New Year and all that whatnot. And that you don't have to work too hard on fucking. I hope that everybody like gives you like big giant ass fucking tips on Valentine's Day for having to work in that bullshit. So yeah, shout outs to the two of you. I told myself dying on the mission would be better than dying in this prison. Aye, aye, sir, I said, sealing my fate. 5:18 in the morning. Time to grill up some cheese. Nothing I say in this. I remember Logic was telling. I think it was Logic was telling me like the secret to a perfect. A few people have told me like the secret to a perfect grilled cheese is mayonnaise, and some people have told me that like the secret to like a good roast turkey is also mayonnaise. But I can't see myself ever fucking doing that. It's like you slather the turkey in mayonnaise and wrap it in bacon or something like that. But I don't know what he's doing. Yeah, I like it. Just I can't fuck with mayo like that. But all right. Aye, aye, sir, I said, sealing my fate. Nothing I say in this room will be repeated. Do you comprehend? Yes, sir. The others still believe what we've told them about the mission. I think so, sir. Do you? No. This is a suicide mission, sir, I said. XEROS nodded. Are you ready to die, traitor? Yes, sir, I replied easily. I felt a moment of relief that I'd been right all along. I think I was more worried that I'd guess wrong than I was afraid. I think I was more worried I'd guess wrong than afraid of dying. I've been ready for a long time. He's literally putting mayo on the bread right now. Oh, I knew it. I knew it. Yeah, like, it's not hard to know what lurks in the heart of Lit Up. He's a simple man with a simple plan. The broad outline of what you know about the mission is true, but there is no... But you're correct. The broad outline of what you know about the mission is true, but you're correct. There is no plan for retrieval. You'll find out why in the briefing. This is the third time we've attempted this. We sent veteran pilots on the first one. They failed. The next time we sent fanatics. Then we sent fanatics, the most zealous patriots. They failed. Now, comma. Then, comma. Okay. I wonder if logic is like nodded off at this point, right there, just with dreams of astronomer vagina. It's a good dream. Then we sent fanatics, the most zealous patriots. They failed. Now we're down to convicts. It was a psychologist's idiot idea to send condemned men in. Now it's too late. The other fronts have collapsed. We're out of supplies, out of men, out of time. You are mankind's last chance. I stared back at XEROS, wondering how long he'd spent composing this pitch, how many times he'd rehearsed before my empty chair. Look at me, traitor. I've served the Hezo since the day I was born. I've got more flight hours than every man on this station combined. I crushed rebellions. I conquered star systems. XEROS tapped the ridge of his cheekbone with his index finger. For the first time, I noticed the faint scars on his temples. 3 pinpoints on either side, forming equilateral triangles where an interface had been removed. Now I knew why he was on the other side of the desk. He'd burned out and they'd clipped his wings. XEROS nodded. XEROS paused until he was sure I understood. Oh man, I got the super smart hot chick coming out to Hawaii. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. What are we writing a Suicide Squad? It is a suicide mission. But it's not Suicide Squad. Because that movie fucking sucked. I mean, there was an original Suicide Squad, though. That was pretty fucking dope. Yeah, well, it's only a maybe logic? Well, good on you. You know, show her the time of her life out there in Hawaii. The war has turned against us. Procyon is lost. Sirius has capitulated. These cowards want to cede the galaxy to our own creation. Weak, disgusting sheep. Satisfied to graze and rut while our species is extinguished, wallowing in their knockoff heaven. Oozing through fat, meaningless degeneration. No contrast, no definition. An easy, useless, painless existence. Do you want that, traitor? My eyes blazed. XEROS was speaking my language. No, sir. Your squad mates are wheat, traitor. We should be sending 100 ships, 100 first-rate pilots. But there are no more ships, no more munitions, no more good men. Just you. I nodded in agreement. XEROS let out a long, dissatisfied breath. When he finished, all the emotion had drained from his face. The collaborator fools made a deal with the devil. I think that's capitalized. The worms are burrowing into the stars themselves, trying to feed the beast. But Iblis can never be sated. They will all be consumed. My breath caught. Iblis was one of the forbidden names of Tai D. A year ago, XEROS would have been executed for saying it, and I for hearing it. But there was no one left to execute us. The Hezo was falling. I was so stunned. I was struck by the admission. It took me a moment to process the rest of what he'd said. The stars, sir? You'll be brief before the mission, XEROS. XEROS replied, cold and remote. The shifts from fire to ice in his demeanor reminded me of the week after we got our implants. Cranial trauma. XEROS stared at me for a long time. All I could do was peer back. I didn't ask why I was here or if I could go. He would dismiss me when he was finished with me. I've only ever heard it procyon. You're probably right, actually. I've never even heard somebody say procyon. Procyon. Well, there we go. Well done. So glad to get it right there, Anjo. Thank you. Let's go back. Procyon is lost. Sirius is capitulated. Cool. I like it. Hopefully I'll remember that. Probably I won't. Maybe you're right. Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Procyon. How did I say it? Did I say Procyon? And you said Procyon. Procyon. Whatever. You are the only pilot who matters on this mission. The others are disposable. You are to fly at the rear and let the others take the hits. If they falter, keep going. Get as deep as you can before you trigger. I couldn't mask my distaste. In my mind, I was always the one at the van in the mission, screaming into the fray. XEROS noticed. It's what you're good at. That's what you are. Cowering is what you're good at. That's what you are. Why do you think we let you live, traitor? Did you think you were fooling anyone? I fought the urge to recoil. I almost recoiled. The psychologist wanted you culled round one. I said no. They wanted me to keep you in the dark like the others. They wanted me to keep you in the dark about the mission, like the others. Again, I intervened. This is my show. I know what you are. I know you won't fail me. Now get out. They're waiting for you in the briefing hall. I followed his order. I followed his orders. But on the way to the briefing hall, I made a fateful detour. I know what you are. Did he really? Hell yeah. Yeah, like, we didn't say Judas there. So that's chapter 14. I'm just going to call this I Know What You Are. No, you know what? The Phantom of Events. I like that. So, chapter 14, like, because it's a Saturday, we're not going to get too deep into this. And I desperately, Logic, if you're still out there and listening, I desperately need you guys, not for this chapter, which I thought was a different chapter, but the next chapter is coming up. I so badly need feedback on. That's critical. I love this chapter. Like, this is like it's part of the big reveal of the chapter. And I love the interaction between these two. I think the note of the clavichord to me is huge. It really like changes up the whole chapter to me. 1873. And we have been streaming we started at 7 a.m. exactly on the dot, and it's 8:31. So we only did an hour and 31 minutes. Uh, and this was just chapter 14. But like one of the things is on the weekends we just don't push it, because like you only have so much juice, and I could feel like when I was waking up this morning, I was like a little dreading like the editing or whatever, just because as you get deeper into the process, it's hard. It's like a continual. Every day this takes like my full attention and full effort and so forth, and I can feel like some of it draining out of me over time. But I love this. This chapter is like kind of almost the climax of their relation. It is the climax of their relationship. I think this is the last time the two of them really have a conversation, and hits so many of the points that I want to have right here. Suros seen as more of calling the shots, more of like a sinister figure. Um, oh, so apparently, I didn't know this, but clavichords were played by gay jesters. Well, good. Um, so yeah, I just want to go back through this and enjoy this chapter because we had to build for 120 some odd pages to get to this point. I like the note of humiliation here, where he's like pathetic, talking about his dick, and his shitty flight, and that I like that Trader after fucking up there is like a little bit vulnerable, right? And so more prone for this whole thing. And so this is the time where Suros is selected to hit him with the whole thing. I like this: rate the competence of your squad mates and their flying ability lower, sir. I don't like that we have to have this sir there, but like if you take it out, you just can't do it in that relationship. I like where he says "say it," and I like that Trader is never 100% sure of what Suros is thinking, and he's like second guessing a lot of the things that he thinks, like where he says "say it," and maybe he meant for me to say something else, but his expression leveled. His squad leader would have been enlisted. No. So it's would have been enlisted in like the regular military here. But we've revealed over time that Suros used to be like, obviously he was much higher in the command, and we show that through like a few different things. One where he tells a story where he's privy to like a lot of command decisions about a previous battle in a way that he only would have been if he was on the officer's bridge of something. Two, we reveal that he has this clavichord, which is set up as like something that's impossibly expensive. And then three, we reveal that psychologists on the mission want him to get rid of Trader, but he overrules them. And like him having the power to overrule those people, that's where and the other part of it is like we see that he's a pilot, where he sees the scars where his interface is. So we don't get into it, but like Suros is like at some point a full bird or something like that. Squad leader would have been enlisted. Well, there's no squad leader. Come to think of it, right there. This is like a drill sergeant who's training him. But I like this part where he has no hope of beating him in a fight, and he has to worry. Like you fly at 600 hours. Love that. I like this little reveal. Like, yo, I used to be one of you. And I like that he burned out and they clipped his wings. Just like a little detail right there, but that means so much to me. Like somebody who gets too old to fly and they won't let you do missions anymore because you can only withstand what's going on for a certain amount of time, which I like. And so this is his key argument for Trader, that people are satisfied to graze and rut while our species is extinguished, wallowing in their knockoff heaven, oozing through fat, meaningless degeneration. No contrast, no definition, an easy, useless, painless existence. Do you want that, Trader? And this is Suros, like really thinking like he has the key to the core of what makes Trader tick. and he's willing to gamble that Trader doesn't want that easy, painless life. Um, I hope he has 20/20 vision. Otherwise, he wouldn't be flying. Yeah, he's got sharp eyes right there. And I like this part there where he says, in this mission, you're going to be flying at the rear and you're going to let the other guys soak up all the firepower and so forth because you're the one. And Trader is aghast at it. Like he's a young man. So he's like, I can't do that or whatever. And Trader just pulls him aside. He's like, who are you fucking fooling, you coward? Ugh. Love every part of this interaction right here. I could just see this like leaping off of a movie screen. And the moment at the end. So I hope you're not missing through this whole thing that XEROS tries to get the truth out of him about who plundered the storeroom, right? This is just like a little dangling thread that's been going on for the entire time. And we have just been like dropping little crumbs to this the whole time. And like everybody knows, Trader went in that storeroom. What did Trader take out of that storeroom? What could he have done, right? Is he going to try and escape? Does he have some secret plan? And then he's making a detour here before he goes to the briefing hall because they're going to have like their final mission and everything like there. I hope there are Nazis at the end. The main character has a choice to be like it's essentially like which side do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the like sort of fascist nationalist side, or do you want to succumb to the fucking glamour of evil from his viewpoint? And that's where we might break it out into two different volumes. So far, like as we get towards the end of the book, I think that's a little gimmicky, and I might not actually do it. But more and more, I think that this is a book that I could potentially sell. I really like it. I can really see some sparks flying between these two characters. And these are the only real characters in our book that matter, right? Like Pirate is kind of interesting, but Pirate isn't like a fully realized character with goals and so forth. Murderous is just a shell, corrupt, etc. The book is about these two characters. They don't call it a briefing room anymore. They call it CJOC, which Combined Joint Operations Center. Yeah, we try to get as much military jargon as we can out of this thing. There's like one 3-letter acronym, and I think it's Orbital Repair Bay a little bit earlier. But we try not to get into too much jargon speak, just because, remember, the focus of this story is not on the military. The focus of this story is the relationship between XEROS and Trader, and the relationship of Trader to himself. Those are the only two things that really matter in the story when all is said and done. And they're so interesting to me. Like, I like all the spaceship shit, and I like the prison shit, like the training shit, and so forth. But this dynamic between those two, where XEROS says, I'm guessing that I've got you figured out, and this is what makes you tick, and I am going to turn your screws. And where Trader has to look at him and be like, maybe he does know what fucking makes me tick. Because he's speaking Trader's language right here. And he's pumping him up to be like, you're the savior of mankind. This messianic speech. And love the whole thing. All right, CJOC. I've never heard that one before. So here's where we stand in the standings right here. I want to thank Logic, Spathy, Negi, Stratum, E equals MC squared, Dioxide, Raborn, AlphaMap, Sasha. And I don't know if you have gotten onto the board yet, lit up, but it's not for want of trying. I'm sorry that I had to reject all of your suggestions. But didn't you get something right today? Didn't you do something? This book is pretty good. Yeah, I'm liking it. Hold on, I'm going to just go back. And I saw that Mayo is the key to everything. All right, so just reminding you, lit up. It is Valentine's Day tomorrow. Make sure you get something nice for your fucking girlfriend. Don't fucking forget. Make a big deal out of it. All right, and everybody, have a good night. And thank you so much for being a part of this edit. I can't get over how much I love this fucking chapter. And I worked so hard, like the whole book, setting this up so that I could have this exchange where, like, XEROS says carte blanche to say crazy shit here and to go like super hardcore. And there is like an element of restraint to it too. Like, you can't just fucking kill trader. He can't like beat his ass here or anything like that. He is stuck with like this Jim Norton looking fucking malcontent, and he has to do it. Little Jimmy. All right, let me get the fuck out of here and have a good day.